How's it going? Once again, I'm sorry I got interrupted with the last video. This is the second part of that video. So I was talking about the maturity level, right? Where an artist gets, and how in Spanish we have the word obra to encompass the whole art, the vision of the artist, the whole thing, right? And the artist is referred to as a maestro. Anyways, that's that. So I was thinking about where do we land that in English? Where is it at? You know, it's artwork. Is the master painter, master artist, or this or that? Yeah. But how do you know, right? Because these words are almost in English. I believe they seem kind of like they could be taken as pretentious. You know, the master works, the masterpieces, the master painter. You know, there's nothing wrong with it, right? But some people are like, especially people that are you know, play kind of like the humble card, like, oh, don't call me master. You know, in other countries that's normal. It's like, yes, that's a master painter, master craftsman, and I think here for artists there's sort of a stigma. You know, like it's sort of like a pretentious thing, like, oh, you know, people don't even use the word, you know, like craftsman or artisan. There's sort of a shame kind of thing, you know, because it means that you're not really an artiste, you know, you're not really the real thing, you know, you work with your hands, you're a laborer, you know, kind of thing. If you're a craftsman or you're a master craftsman or whatever, artisan, it means you work with your hands and you're not really an artist. You're not conceptual. I find that bogus. I find that BS. You know, because someone who works with their hands is blessed to work with their hands, and someone who works with their hands and becomes a master at what they're doing should be, you know, viewed as someone to follow, right? Or to pay close attention to you know, the title master craftsman. That's, you know, someone who creates sculptures. They'd be like, oh yeah, that's an artist. No, that's a master, you know, craftsman. Not everybody can, especially when they're aging in it. You know, when they're cooking it and they get out to a certain level where they're not only doing something great, they're doing something great with depth. They're not only good at it, you know, exterior, you know, like a painter. It's no longer just trying to recreate a landscape. Now they're going deep. Now there's depth in it, and I'm not talking about three-dimensional depth. I'm talking about vision. It's the intangible. It's now in there, and that can only be given with experience. Experience will give the intangible. I believe this is what I'm trying to go at, and I know I ramble. When the artist starts to express the intangible, he's hit another place, or she. They have come to another place. When the artist is trying to express the tangible, they are still, they may not be amateurs, but they are still not in the big leagues, in my opinion. There are artists who paint beautiful. There are sculptors who sculpt beautiful. There are musicians who play beautiful. But then you have the Jimi Hendrix, right? Who are not only, you know, forward, but they are expressing the intangible. Now they're giving you something else. You know, you have the singers who are great, just because I love that time period of music. You have the singers who are great, right? You have this tenor, you know, singers, or this, you know, whatever. And or you have your pop singers who are very good, very well trained. That's a good place to be, right? But then you have the Jim Morrisons, you know. Then you have people who have now tapped into the intangible, And that's why they touch so many hearts, because they are now giving you something that no one else can give you, and that is what I believe is the vision. That's what I was trying to refer into in the past video. How do you recognize when an artist, because in Spanish we have the word obra for the artwork, and we have the to refer to the artist, it's a master artist, a master painter, sculptor. In English it is true, but it's very common to say it over there. Where here, I believe, again, it could be more pretentious. I don't think people will, unless they laugh a little bit, they don't tell you, oh, you're a master artist, They might be laughing a little bit or chuckle, or masterpieces, they chuckle a little bit, masterpieces. Where in other countries it's like, no, these are masterpieces. This is la obra, right? This is the vision of the artist. It's got this seriousness to it, right? But it might be the culture. I don't know. I don't know what plays in there. What I do know is that there are artists, of course, everywhere in the world where they're like, this is a master artist. How do you recognize it? If you're a collector, you have developed an eye. If you're a painter, how do you know where you stand, where you are? And I don't think it's that important, right? That to be like, well, I have to find out where I'm at. No, but I think it's nice to see, because if you're a painter who is barely starting out and learning the fundamentals of painting, right? You're learning your ABCs, color theory, and perspective, and depth, and creating something in 3 dimensions, values, and all of that. Then you shouldn't be trying to waste your time or your efforts trying to create a vision, because you're not there yet. Right? And this applies also, or not even a vision. Maybe you shouldn't be looking into techniques yet before you get honed into that, right? And I'm not talking about like first paint it realistic so that then you can. No, a lot of people think that. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is certain fundamentals, simply as how to mix colors, how to certain things that will help you create your artwork in whatever direction you want to go. I'm not one of those artists where like, first learn to do it right so then you can do it wrong. It's like, what? It sounds so stupid, First learn how to paint a bird perfectly, and then you can abstract it if you want to. No, that's BS. First learn the fundamentals and then start painting whatever your painting looks like. What I mean by fundamentals is just simple stuff like color mixing, like perspective, depth, those kinds of things, sir. Because those are observations that someone else have already established over years that can help you, right? And if you don't learn them, you don't have to, because that's not even, those are just tools. But I believe they come in handy. I don't know. Everybody's different. So, anyways, I don't want to get lost in that. So what is it, right? What is it? What makes this, how do we pinpoint, right, where you're at? So I was saying, if you're an artist who's starting out, don't waste your time in techniques. Don't waste your time or your efforts in trying to develop a voice. This is a thing that's missed a lot by a lot of artists. They're like, oh, I'm going to go develop my voice. No, hold on. All right, cool. You want to develop your voice, but voice, you're not even a voice yet. It's like you're I don't know, you're a physician, right? Or you're a student or in medicine, a medical student, and you're like, oh, I'm going to start, developing my own, I don't know, research or blah, blah. I don't know, maybe that's a bad example. Anyways, no, first learn maybe you have to learn anatomy first, before you go and chop someone's leg off. I don't know. Something like that. It works the other way too. If you're probably on stage 2 or 3, and these stages they're ethereal, okay? There's a lot of grace between those stages. So these are just things that I've observed. These are not in stone anywhere. So don't be like, am I in stage 2 or stage 3? You don't have to have that in your mind. I'm just trying to locate where where the progression is, right? You could be in stage 2 or 3 and still be like, oh man, I gotta go and learn color again. Well, yeah, but shouldn't be you spending most of your energy in and just creating your. See, this is why this is why I'm saying this. A lot of times it's also missed. Many times it happened to me, painfully, where I was already at a stage where I had created and honed a vision, a really create my stuff, right? Like really cook my stuff. And then I was still revisiting because this is not because I felt like I needed to, because it was necessary, right? If you feel like you don't have color theory down and that's something you want to add to your arsenal, by all means go do it, right? This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you going back there because you don't feel sure of yourself. And this happens a lot to artists. You know, a lot of artists are making a killing, both artistically and monetarily, in music, painting, whatever, and they go through, and I don't want to make it too confusing, but they can go through surges where they're like winning, 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 and all of a sudden they feel like shit, you know, because they don't believe in themselves, and they're like, oh, I gotta go find out what's missing. If I'm talking to a couple of you, you know what I'm talking about. You're winning, winning, winning. You're like going at it. You're like in stage 3. You're like, man, you're developing your own eye, you know, your own vision, your own ear, whatever your media is, whether you're a musician or you're a painter, it doesn't matter. And then you're like, oh, I gotta go learn, you know, fundamentals of reading music. And it's like, dude, why? You already skipped that part, or you already went through that. Maybe you didn't skip it. Maybe you already went. Maybe you jumped it and you learned it in another way. Maybe not through an art teacher or whatever. Why do you want to go back there and really ask yourself that? You know, are you going back there because you need to, because you feel like your work is not there yet, or are you going back there? Maybe, I don't know. Or are you going back there because you feel like you need to because your work is not there yet, but really it's because you don't trust where you're at. You don't trust that you're that good yet. You don't trust all the years, all the experience you put into it. And I'll leave you with that. I don't want to make this video too long because I know our attention span is not that long. But where do we land, right? Very simple. I think that if you are creating work, or if you're an art collector and you see someone creating work constantly over and over and over, you know that the artist has now become an artisan. It's another level. I know this word is like, oh, I'm not an artist and I'm an artist. Believe me, you want the word artisan. It's you have mastered something. You have now mastered something and you're at another level. And this applies to anyone, right? If you're a musician or singer or whatever, you have come to another level. Some people say that that's the level of the artist. Unfortunately, where do we go with artists? Because many people call themselves artists before just, you know, right when they pick up the brushes. And I'm not saying that this is bad. I'm not saying don't call yourself an artist. No, like have that mental, you know, of course, I'm an artist. Now I'm going to become an artist someday, right? That's another negative way of looking at it. But I'm saying what I am pointing at is that you don't know in the spectrum where it's at. And maybe we're not supposed to know, right? But if you're a collector, maybe you do. And if you're an artist and you're already at a place where you don't need to go fidget somewhere else, and all you have to do is concentrate where you're at, it will probably serve you well to know, look, I'm at a master level. I'm at a place where now what you don't have to control or work on is your skill level, your hands or your theories and your techniques. Now you don't have to work on that. Maybe now it's a place where you have to work on your mind, because now your mind is effing with you, right? Now you're in a place where you're very good, but you don't think you are. So you have to constantly revisit other lower stages, right? It's like being a black belt and saying, I wonder what would happen if I go to, you know, I don't know the stages, but to a white or orange or whatever, another belt. I just know that black belt is the high. So you don't have to go to the other stages. Well, if you're a black belt, what you want to do is keep, you know, learning from black belts who are higher than you or in other places than you, or, you know, that kind of thing. Anyways, I don't want to bore you with this stuff, but I thought it was important to point it out. The name is Jose Trujillo. I'm a fine art artist, and thank you so much for watching.